Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. In this video, I want to talk about the Galakrond's Awakening adventure. Galakrond's Awakening is currently the only adventure in Hearthstone that contains exclusive cards. So the only way to have access to these cards is to buy the adventure at the moment. That should change once it rotates out into Wild. The cards from all the previous adventures that are in Wild are now freely craftable. But as long as it's in Standard, you have to pay for it in order to get those cards. So now with Ashes of Outland, a new expansion that's more recent than the Galakrond's Awakening adventure out, is it still worth it to pay for the adventure? If you buy the adventure with real money, it costs $19.99, either dollars or euros. And compared to buying card packs, this is a pretty good use of your money. Especially comparing this to the cost of the adventure with gold, because you can buy it with gold as well. It costs 700 gold per chapter, there are 4 chapters, so it costs 2,800 gold overall. And with 2,800 gold you can buy 28 packs, and with 20 bucks you're not getting anywhere close to 28 packs. So if you want to invest money in Hearthstone, it's more useful to buy the adventure and spend your gold in packs than the other way around. The cards in Galakrond's Awakening will be around for another year. The cards will rotate out of Standard format in April 2021. And even if you were to just disenchant every single card you get from it, you would get 2,930 dust, which also compares favorably with the disenchant value of cards in packs. But how useful are Galakrond's Awakening cards right now in the meta? Let's take a look at it chapter by chapter, so we also get to see how much do you need to invest if you want to buy it piecemeal. In the current meta, Chapter 1 is unfortunately by far the weakest one. When Chapter 1 was initially released, Winged Guardian was a key card in Embiggen Druid, and Embiggen Druid was a good deck, so just buying Chapter 1 already gave you some bang for your buck. But right now, Winged Guardian sees some play in Big Druid, but Big Druid is not doing very well. Spell Druid is the superior archetype in general, so Winged Guardian is a little bit out of favor. Also, Chapter 1 includes Licensed Adventure, which is a great quest synergy card, but quest decks are also not doing too well at the moment. So the value of these two cards has fallen down after the release of Ashes of Outland. There's one card that has seen its value go up a little after the release of Ashes of Outland, which is Priest's Dark Prophecy, which is used in Tempo Priest and in some Highlander Priest decks. However, Tempo Priest is a niche deck, and Highlander Priest can easily replace the card if you don't have it. Then there's one more card in Chapter 1 that I think is worth mentioning. That's Fresh Scent. A Hunt the Twin spell, 2 mana, give a beast +2/+2. Right now it sees play in very niche Beast Hunter decks. It is one of the better cards in those decks, but the decks themselves are pretty bad. So it's a good card that just hasn't found a deck. So overall, your investment in Chapter 1 is not going to give you very much. But you have to buy the chapters in order, so this is a necessary investment if you want to proceed further into the adventure. Chapter 2 is looking a little bit better. Chapter 2 gives you Rising Winds, which is a very good card in various Druid decks. All sorts of Spell Druid decks and also various Quest Druid decks, which are kind of niche at the moment but still performing at a fairly good level. Chapter 2 also includes Fiendish Servant, which is a great card in Zoo. It's a replaceable card, but it's still a very high performance card in the archetype. Furthermore, you also get Cleric of Scales, which has seen increasing amounts of play in Ashes of Outland, with Priest decks becoming a little bit more common, other than Resurrect Priest. Because the card didn't fit in Resurrect Priest, so it didn't see play in Descent of Dragons, but now it's seeing more play. And you will also get Skyvet here, which is a fine rogue card. Sees play in some Highlander rogues, some stealth rogues. Not an essential piece, but it's doing okay. Other interesting cards of note from Chapter 2 are the Arcane Amplifier, which has seen some play in Highlander mage decks. It's not used in the most popular list at the moment though. And then Fist of Raden, a shaman legendary weapon, which kind of can give some sort of win condition to various control shaman archetypes, but those archetypes are just pretty bad right now. So Fist of Raden also doesn't make them that much better. So Chapter 2 gives you a couple of really good cards, a couple of okay cards and a couple of niche cards. Chapter 3 is where you start to get some real rewards. Chapter 3 it's just phenomenal all over. Risky Skipper, it's a core card in many warrior decks right now. You cannot actually build and play those warrior decks effectively without the Risky Skipper, so that's the most important card so far seen from Galakrond's Awakening. And then Rotnest Drake, absolutely phenomenal in various Dragon Hunter decks, goes into Highlander Hunter decks too. You can build them without Rotnest Drake, but the performance will drop. It is one of the best cards in those decks. Then with the recent rise of Murloc Paladin into at least an okay status, if not exactly top tier, Scale Lord is one of the better cards in Murloc Paladin at the moment, and that's also from Chapter 3 of Galakrond's Awakening. And there's even more, because Boom Pistol Bully is also from Chapter 3. A great tech card against rogues, and rogues have now been rising back on the ladder. It was really prevalent during Descent of Dragons, then it went kind of away early on with the Demon Hunters, and now it's seeing a little bit of a comeback into the meta. And Chapter 3 is a gift that just keeps giving. There's also Sky General Crag in it, the best quest synergy card ever printed. Quest decks might not be that hot right now, but if you're ever going to play any quest deck, then Sky General Crag should be included. Maybe with the sole exemption of the Priest quest deck if you combine that with Resurrect, because then it doesn't quite fit into that one. And also the remaining cards from Chapter 3 see some play at the moment. Aeon Reaver in various Priest decks, and Waxmancy sees some play in Highlander Rogue decks. If you only could buy Chapter 3 as your first chapter, but unfortunately you cannot, because Chapter 3, it's just full of good stuff. And the same actually continues into Chapter 4. Escaped Mana Saber is currently the most played card from Galakrond's Awakening, because it just goes into such a wide variety of decks. And Chapter 4 also includes the Amazing Reno. I really wouldn't even build a Highlander Mage without the Amazing Reno right now. The Amazing Reno is just one of the key cards in the archetype, one of the best performing cards in the deck. Frenzied Felwing just got hit with the nerf, but it's no longer this 3-3, it's now only a 3-2, which is kind of good because it was so important and you needed to go to Chapter 4 to get it. Now you can play without it, but surprisingly enough, it has still been good enough to see play in a wide variety of aggressive decks. And if you want to play any sort of quest druid at the moment, then Steel Beetle. With Ferocious Hull rotated out of standard, Steel Beetle is your go-to card to get some armor and stay alive. That's not even all from Chapter 4. Chapter 4 also has Grand Lackey Urk, a real value win condition, just tons of lackeys. It has been slow, it hasn't seen play in a lot of decks, but there are occasionally some decks that experiment with it. And in the current meta it's better than it was during Descent of Dragons. Then there's also Shotbot, a phenomenal card in a bad class. Doesn't really see play because, well, Paladin doesn't see that much play other than Murloc Paladin. But if there ever is a Paladin deck that's viable, Shotbot is such a phenomenal card, it's probably going to be part of it. And Chapter 4 also includes Boom Squad, which is used in whatever slower warrior decks still exist. So, Chapter 4 also full of goodies. Chapter 3, Chapter 4, they just contain so much good stuff. Unlike the first two chapters, unfortunately for anyone who wants to buy the adventure with gold. Overall, Galakrond's Awakening contains 35 cards, and of those 35 cards, more than 20 see play at the moment. They play different roles in decks, some of them are more easily replaced, some of them are more difficult to replace, but still, there are a lot of playable cards in the adventure. The most essential cards that come from Galakrond's Awakening adventure are the Amazing Reno, without which I really wouldn't want to build a Highlander Mage deck, then Risky Skipper, without which you can't play any of the warrior decks in the meta right now, it's just a key card in all of them, Rotnest Drake, a phenomenal key piece of Dragon Hunter, and Rising Winds that sees play in many druid archetypes with very high level of performance. Interestingly enough, the cards that are good have changed a little bit from Descent of Dragons into Ashes of Outland. A couple of new cards from Galakrond's Awakening that didn't see play during Descent have been able to see play now, some that were good back then have seen less play now, so Galakrond's Awakening overall seems to be a very strong contender. It's unfortunate that the value comes very late in the adventure because chapters 3 and 4 just have so many more good cards than chapters 1 and 2. But overall, Galakrond's Awakening Even in Ashes of Outland, it's clearly worth buying. And if you intend to spend any real money on Hearthstone, then spend that on the adventure and spend your gold in packs. You can still play several top tier decks without investing in the adventure though, because decks like Tempo Demon Hunter and Galakrond Rogue don't really need cards from here. But cards from Galakrond's Awakening can be used to enhance a wide variety of decks, and they are essential for a few good decks in the meta right now. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel for more.